Hey, you guys are doing well. Reporting here live from a fort that we built in our living room. I remember one of my first babysitting adventures was for the Millers, and they went out on a date, and I was watching their kids, and I said, "Hey guys, let's build a fort." And they said, "Yeah." And so we built this awesome fort that was the entire living room, the entire dining room, and I had to get a little creative because they didn't have the normal fort stuff, but I remember when the parents walked home, they were just like, why is the living room, or why is the rocking chair on the kitchen table? What? But the girls were so excited that the parents said, okay, we need to have some ground rules for your forts, but this is a good idea. We like it. The kids like it. But it made me think about one of the verses from this week. Luke 19:46 says, "My house will be a house of prayer, but you've made it a den of robbers." It's interesting to think about what we make church. Now, hopefully we have not made it a den of robbers, but are there some other things that we've kind of made church that really isn't? Because this fort really isn't a fort. Like, this is my living room, and we will take it down as soon as I'm done with this, because we can make a new one tomorrow. Sometimes we make church a social club. Sometimes we make it a segregated hotspot. With the craziness that's going on in this country right now, it's easy to look and say, man, the church should be doing something different here. Sometimes we make it an incubator for toxicity and garbage, and it's bad. Sometimes we make it a bubble bunker, and we say, I'm just going to protect my kids and protect myself, and I'm just going to ignore everything else out there because this is just the protection that I need. Sometimes we make it a feeling fun zone and say, I just want to go there and just feel good. And God's called the church to more than all of that. He's called us to more. So what is the church? There's a hymn that maybe you guys have heard before. It says, I am the church, you are the church, we are the church together, all who follow Jesus all around the world. Yes, we're the church together. The church is not a building. The church is not a steeple. The church is not a resting place. The church is the people. We're many kinds of people with many kinds of faces, all colors and all ages, from all times and places. Sometimes the church is marching. Sometimes it's bravely burning. Sometimes it's riding. Sometimes hiding. Always it's learning. And I want you to think for a sec, as we look at the church today, what is the church? It can't be these requirements that we put on it. It can't just be the church is only a church if the preacher's wearing a tie, or the church is only a church if the organ's playing, or the piano's playing, or if the music that I like. The church can't be a church if there's only a bulletin, or only, and we put these requirements on God and on His house. Is it His house? Or is it our house? When you go back, Jesus says, what about His house? He said, my house will be called a house of prayer. Is that what your church is known for? What my church is known for? Is that what you have made your church? There's a real temptation to rebrand church. To say, man, we got to keep up with the current culture. We got to keep up with what's happening. We have to stay relevant. And it's interesting, though, because the message Jesus had is still very relevant. Jesus is about love. Jesus is about hope. He's about setting the oppressed free. Take a look at Isaiah chapter 58. Phenomenal chapter. Highly recommend reading it. We're working through it with youth the last couple weeks here. Phenomenal. How we should be helping people who are oppressed. How we should be helping throw off the yoke that keeps people from being who that God has created them to be. That's what the world needs to hear today. That's what the world needs to hear from you, from me. We need to be the church as a place of prayer that people can go and say, man, I need to be with God, or I need someone to pray with me. And too often that's not what it is. I shudder to think, what would Jesus say if He came to our church? If He came to your church? If He came to your house? What have we made it? What does it need to be? God has more. It's my challenge and just a thought. Until next time.